Good evening. This is Rudy Giuliani, and this is America's Mayor live on Holy Thursday. This is the night of our Lord's Last Supper. It is a very holy and very, very important evening in the history of God's revelation of man, and we'll speak somewhat about it. And show you some scenes very, very shortly. I thought, though, we would start. It's a terrible tragedy today that occurred at Tallahassee. I don't know what's left to say about these attacks on schools, whether they're grammar schools, high schools, middle schools, private schools, religious schools, non-religious schools, state schools, great state schools like this one, big universities, small universities. Oh my goodness. And the myriad of motivations that brings them about sometimes makes you feel that you're not gaining very much by studying them as a group, because they're such individual situations. Although that's not true in terms of the reaction. So yeah, it's true that many things bring us to it, but then it devolves into pretty much the same situation of necessity of emergency necessities. So it is important to look at them as a group, and maybe even also in looking at the motivations and the things that bring them about as a group, we'll be able to understand them better and categorize them better and predict them better, which, after all, is the main aim. As I always taught, the main aim of law enforcement is not to arrest people after the crime is committed. It's to stop the crime in the first place. That's a tall order here. That's, beyond, maybe people are going to say human capacity right now. It used to be way beyond human capacity. It's within reach now. So what did happen today, Ted? Do you want to give us some of the details that we have as of now? Because no fault of anyone, these things change rather quickly in an emergency. At one point, we thought there were two shooters, and now it seems like there's one, right?
That's right. That's right, Mayor. That's right, Mayor. And we're going to try and bring up some footage as I talk here. What we know now is that 2 individuals are dead and 5 are injured. We also know that the shooter was shot, is alive, and is in custody. And I'm bringing up more here. Sorry, I'm just kind of multitasking here, bringing up this footage while I try to give you the latest here. So what we do know now is that the shooter is in custody. The shooting took place starting at around noon. The shooter is the son of a sheriff's deputy and used the sheriff deputy's weapon in the killing.
Is he the son of 2 sheriff deputies, the husband and the father and the...
So I'm still looking for information on the father, but the suspect's mother, Jessica Ickner, has been an officer for over 18 years.
Okay, so when they say sheriff deputy, they have always meant the mother. Because I at one point assumed this.
Oh, okay. So you're saying no? Yes, this individual. Our understanding is that the suspect's mother has been an officer at the department for over 18 years,
and she's very well respected,
and well regarded,
very well liked. I did
has done a tremendous job at her
and
position.
There has been sparse or little information on his father, hence that's part of the story, correct? I mean, there's going to be part of, okay, where's dad, right?
That's right. So okay. 2 people were killed, 6 injured. That's the latest.
So he used a revolver.
That's what we understand. The individual had used his mother's, what we're being told is that the individual used his mother's service weapon.
Yeah, well, we don't know what the service revolver is. Could be a Glock. Could be a Glock.
It's actually her former service weapon that she kept at home after the department had upgraded to new weapons.
Oh,
well, I would assume that it is not a revolver. I would assume that it's probably.
Well, let's not assume.
Well, yeah. I mean, if it's a service weapon, they typically don't issue revolvers.
Well, not anymore. They used to
when I was back in.
Well, no, actually, they did until I became mayor. In New York City,
they're reliable.
up until 1993, you got a 7-shooter. I was the first one to allow New York City to get automatic weapons. It was a tremendous controversy, as opposed by all the New York liberals that are now in charge of ruining New York.
Yeah, now New York would probably issue what talking points or emotional
It's
support.
hard to
memos.
believe that I was the first mayor to do it, and it was tremendously controversial.
That's right.
But go ahead.
That's right. So the latest that we have is that there are 2 dead non-students and 5 injured.
Two dead non-shooters because, again, there was a 2 or 3 hour period in which there was almost confirmed that it was 2 shooters.
Right.
And there was also speculation as to whether or not this was a coordinated attack of some kind.
Right.
But now, at least for now, 1 shooter alive in sheriff's custody, tied into the Leon County Sheriff's Office.
That's right.
In the sense that he's the son of a 17-year, very well-regarded deputy.
That's right. That's right. So that's
also himself on something like the youth auxiliary of the Leon County Sheriff's Office,
right?
Which is the county that surrounds Tallahassee. Tallahassee is the city in which Florida state is located.
That's right. And of course, the state capital as well.
Florida State is the arch rival of Florida that earlier this week won, right, the National Basketball Championship.
That's right. Florida taking down Duke, your son's school.
Yeah. In fact, when I first heard it, I said, oh my gosh, Florida State. Okay.
Right.
A big mistake. If you're in Florida, you know the difference. And you better know the difference.
And of course, I made the mistake. It was actually Florida beat Houston in the final. Houston had beat Duke in the
Duke lost to Houston over the weekend.
That's right.
Which was a really big
one of the games. Yes. So we'll keep following as details continue to come out. He was reportedly a student at the school and had opened fire on campus grounds.
And how old?
20 years old.
And still, he would normally still be a college student if he was in school.
That's right.
And nothing yet on issues as to whether he was a problem, whether he had arrests, whether he had mental issues, what did people think of him?
Right.
None of that yet.
So we're not getting that yet. We do know that the suspected shooter had spoken out against President Trump in the student newspaper. So we're kind of digging down.
Was that an isolated comment, or was there a series of comments about Trump?
So that's what we don't know.
The comment in the student newspaper was at the time that Trump was elected, right? Something about it's too late now.
Right.
There isn't much we can do now. He, that is Trump, is already elected. We need to revolt.
He has seen enough. If this is a photo of him, he has seen in a photo holding up a "Fight Trump in the GOP agenda" sign. But I'm not gonna. We'll try to confirm this before.
Well, it's important to get these facts.
Yeah, we don't want to.
There's really no point here in saying, oh, if you're a Trump person and say, well, thank God it's someone who wasn't, or if you're not a Trump, or say, well, wouldn't it be terrible if it was a Trump person? It's terrible no matter who it is. And it could be either. Let's face it. Something like this is thank goodness, still abnormal human conduct, and significantly abnormal human conduct. And anybody who takes solace one way or the other, that it was from their side or our side or somebody else's side, is an absolute idiot, jackass, because it's such a aberrant behavior. Even a group that is a small group could have something like this happen, and one that's a really big group and maybe necessarily usually more dangerous might not have something like this happen. But I tell you what it does. What it does do is it begins to start to give you a picture of where, in a general way, the motivations for a lot of this are coming from, and maybe it will start to give people a sense of more discipline about what they say and do. But let's see. That's all very early. Right now, we've actually gotten pretty far in the sense that the killer is arrested and subdued. The killer is determined, at least as far as we know, and since he is alive, we'll be able to paint a picture of him. It won't be mysterious. Now, it could, and I say this just to inform you, because as you know, I believe my job is to get you the news that you don't get because of the tremendous censorship. If this does turn out to be a Trump detractor, you're not going to find out much about it. It'll be in the conservative newspapers, but the Times will forget it, and the Post, and much like the shooting with the very, very large manifesto that had been written that was covered up for a year, even though that would have been published on day one if it hadn't been a transgender anti-Trump assassin. Just the way it is. Or just like they tried to cover up Blake and Riley's killer as a man from Athens, when it turned out, yeah, he was from Athens for 4 days, but he came from Venezuela 4 months earlier. Or how about right now with the guy that was sent down to Venezuela, who's described as a Maryland father? Yeah, a Maryland father who is illegally in the United States, comes from El Salvador, belongs to the biggest gang in El Salvador, is a major leader in the gang, has lived in America for a short period of time. And what we know about him mostly is that his wife, who now wants him back, had an order of complaint against her because he was beating the living daylights out of her. And now the senator from Maryland has made a cause to bringing him back. So, I mean, it all changes with the politics, unfortunately. Still, that hasn't changed yet in America. Trump has changed a lot, but we haven't changed that. So I'm telling you, if this, depending on how much politics, political ideology is behind this, you will or will not find out a lot about it. If the politics behind this is very pro-Trump, very anti-left-wing, anti-immigration, you'll find out a lot about it. If the politics behind this is very anti-Trump, feeling the only thing worthwhile is to kill him or revolt, you'll find out nothing about it, or very little about it, because they are going to pretend there's no violence that emerges from that. Now, here's the tragedy. Even though no one on the other side will accept this as objective, it's quite clear from the last 4 or 5 months that all the violence is emerging from the left. So something has to be done about it, and we have to talk about it. Otherwise, we're going to get ourselves killed over and over again. The Maloney conversation today. Is there any briefing from the police or whatever that would be useful for our people to hear? Because I think we've really gotten as much out of it as we can get for right now.
That's right. We are monitoring police updates, and we'll be sure to bring those to your audience. As you said, Mayor, you get this. You like to get this info to your audience right away. And of course, the info that you may not hear anywhere else. So as you said, if there is in fact more anti-Trump writings or, material on the social media, we're unlikely to see it. So it's up to you and others like you to make sure this gets out to the American people.
Well, Shall we take a break now, and then when we come back, we'll
switch gears.
What?
We'll switch gears and talk about what happened at the White House today.
Yeah, we'll talk about what happened at the White House and what's going on with the tariffs and the trade and all of that.
And one of your good friends, Giorgia Maloney, was in town.
Best friend.
So we'll be right back.
U.S. Army Major Scott Smiley paid a high price serving our nation. Scott was leading his platoon in Iraq when a blast sent shrapnel through his eyes, leaving him blind and temporarily paralyzed. Scott would become the first blind active duty military officer before medically retiring years later. Thanks to friends like you, the Tunnel to Towers Foundation gave Scott and his family a mortgage-free, specially adapted smart home. Show your support for America's heroes now. Donate $11 a month to Tunnel to Towers at Maloney Visit.
And we're back.
Are we back?
Are you ready for some action?
I'm ready for action.
Get the Elite TV plan only through the portal. 218 channels, and it's only $69.95 a month,
Wow.
including your free portal.
That's cheaper than everyone else.
Your favorite sports, movies, news,
Wow.
even daytime dramas. We're talking about ESPN, OAN, Newsmax,
Wow.
channels you can't get anymore in certain areas.
Compared to the competition, this is a way better deal.
Endless selection. Not to mention all the free music channels. There's over 700 premium and classic movies all ready to go.
Wow.
Plus, they got catch-up TV that allows you to go back and watch what you've missed or want to watch again. Cut your cable in half and get twice as much for free.
Way more channels for half the cost.
After the first year, the subscription then drops to $57.95 monthly,
Wow.
where you change or upgrade anytime. Go to QUXNow.com and get yours today. Use promo code RUDY. Act fast.
These
Well, the Prime Minister of Italy was at the White House today. Always an important visit. Italy is a close ally of the United States, and I would say at this point, in terms of Western Europe, our closest ally. I don't have to say that. President Trump just said that. And he also went beyond that and said one of our best allies anywhere, any place, all over the world. And again, I would agree with that. Want my list? Sure. Italy, Hungary, Poland, Japan, not necessarily in this order, but Japan. South Korea, Taiwan. Now we start having a few little exceptions, you know. Believe it or not, I think Mexico is an ally. There's no question. There's no question that El Salvador is an ally. Few more like that. So it was good because in Western Europe, and in a way, Hungary is the odd man out in Western Europe. It's almost doesn't consider itself part of Western Europe. Italy is the only deeply embedded Western European power that is so close to us. And she is, because she is such a exceptionally good diplomat and politician, she's very well respected within the European Union and within NATO. So her value to the president is quite significant, and her value to the EU is quite significant. Now, so she's there to kind of smooth things over. And I think in general plays that role. And the US and the EU are negotiating, but it's not a negotiation he's put on the front burner. In fact, the president himself believes it's so important that he's taking time out to personally negotiate the Japanese agreement himself. And I think he's doing it so that it comes out a situation where both sides are very happy. He wants to make sure that an ally is treated differently than someone who hasn't put their neck out for us. And Japan has many, many times put its neck out for us. And Japan has come to the very, very practical realization that we're very close. We have been very close. We're close friends. But the necessity of our survival, both of ours, requires to become even closer, given our mutual antagonist, which is China. And it takes wisdom to understand that. And one thing the Japanese people have never lacked was wisdom. So the president is probably trying to work out that deal as a good example of what you can get, and also a good example of what we need. The president is really a professor of negotiations, and I'm going to give you one lesson of a good deal. This is a business school lesson, okay? For a good deal, both sides have to come out a little disappointed, but mostly happy. It is not a good deal to get everything you want and have the other guy muttering and sputtering, and he'll find a way to undercut that deal. And it's not a good deal to outsmart someone and make them feel it, because then they're going to want to outsmart you next time. All the things that assholes think are good deals are bad deals. All the things that wise people think are good deals are good deals. And that is that we find out what's most important to you. And you find out what's most important to me. And if I can, I try to give you what's most important to you, and you try to give me what's most important to me, if there's room for that. And then if there isn't, how much do we have to shave on each side so we can both come out with something that's helpful to us, even if you have to take a little hurt. That's a good deal. And both sides have to be able to maintain a certain level of objectivity, which is, as Trump says, there's no such thing as a good deal where the tariff is 100 on one side and 10% on the other. I'm sorry, there is no disparity that great. That's a sucker deal, and it's a deal that ultimately breeds animosity because you've been taken advantage of, which you can feel with Trump, that we have been taken advantage of. And not only have we been taken advantage of, we've had states that have been raped of industries because of these deals. It's a very serious thing. It's caused human misery, human want, a degradation of power in the United States. And he's in the process of rebuilding it. And I think those nations that see that and see that they have to make contributions in that area, whereas if there are other areas where he can make contributions, he will. And we're blessed by the fact that we're the largest economy on earth, with more parts to our economy than any other, more areas where we can compensate. If we take from you, we can give to you somewhere else. And a president and a staff that is genius at it, not a bunch of blowhard bozos like make up the silly liberal Democrat Party, which wouldn't know a business if they saw it. So Japan's a great one to use for the ideal negotiation. I negotiated a number of deals with Japan, and I found them to be the best deals I ever negotiated. Meaning the ones where we were all both happy. And even if we had to work out very, very difficult issues. I remember one we didn't get worked out until we stayed up all night, could not get it resolved. Took an hour's rest and came up with an idea where that might possibly satisfy both sides. We did. And it went on to be a 7-year great relationship. So let's see what happens. Shall we listen to a bit of the Maloney Trump when he greets her and all the, because it really does reveal a lot of the substance that they can cover, and I can save my recovering voice which, as you can see, has recovered a good deal.
So we'll start with this. This is the opening of tonight's.
Well, that's all right.
We'll bring. So this is her. This is her upon arrival, and then we'll get some clips from her in the.
Andrew, you think?
Yes, and we'll get some clips of her in the Oval Office with the president. They have great chemistry together.
Okay? The goal for me is to make the West great again. Okay? And I think we can do it together. We can.
I need more.
We will keep on work on that. I'm going to close. I want to say only I'm proud of sitting here as Prime Minister of an Italy that today has very good, a very good situation despite the difficulties, a stable country, reliable country, 1 million more jobs in the goal for me is to make the West great again. Okay? And I think we can do it together. We can. We will keep on work on that. I'm going to close. I want to say only I'm proud of sitting here as Prime Minister of an Italy. Vogliamo lavorare, stiamo lavorando per cercare di arrivare in Ucraina a una pace che possa essere giusta e duratura. Penso che questi siano gli sforzi sui quali condividiamo il nostro lavoro, abbiamo condiviso anche oggi il nostro lavoro.
That sounded absolutely, that was so beautiful. What the hell was that? What did she say, please? No, I mean, it sounded great. It was beautifully presented, but maybe I could hear what she said. Please, go ahead. Go ahead.
It was about asking.
Hold it.
Have some respect, please.
Thank you. No, wait. I want to hear what she said. Go ahead.
Yeah, Prime Minister Meloni was asked what she thinks about the fact that President Trump holds Zelensky responsible for the war in Ukraine, and Prime Minister Meloni answered, "Well, actually, we have."
So just kind of a fun moment in the Oval Office. Two people with great chemistry.
And the president reflected the universally true fact that Italian is the most beautiful language in the world.
Oh yeah, you loved hearing that from a non-Italian.
Even more beautiful than Latin. Someday I'll explain why. Not as classically brilliant as Latin. A much easier language to learn, a much easier language to practice. Latin is like Greek. Latin is an extraordinarily intellectual language. The most beautiful, as the Latin language has moved away from Latin, they developed certain harshness to them. So when you hear pure Italian spoken, there's very little harshness in it. And there's no word that ends. I mean by that from the point of view of singing. Most words end in vowels, and vowels are open sounds. So if I say sogno rather than song, sogno rather than song, think of how easier that will fit into a song, aria, music, when you're singing it. You don't have to clip a word. You can sing right into the next word. And it's one of the, now Latin has that too. So that's why most of the early music is in Latin. But also when you moved into Italian opera, that was one of the advantages of Italian opera, the beauty of the sung, the language. I mean, if you listen to Pavarotti, like all the great singers, classical or otherwise, one of his great strengths was that he pronounced words perfectly. If you understood Italian, you could follow him. Similarly, Frank Sinatra, who sang in English, even when he lost the strength of his voice, he was able to so-called put over a song because he could pronounce words so well. It's the early experience with Latin or Italian that really helped him do that. So let's listen to the rest of it after my pitch.
You want to listen to the rest of it?
We played it.
Almost
Embarrassing pitch for Italian.
No, we listened to it all. We listened to it, Mayor. You want to? I mean, do you want to listen to more of her press conference?
Oh, yeah, sure.
Okay.
And more for beautiful Italian.
All right. So we'll just play. We'll play some from the this.
No, that's okay. Just play something else.
Okay. I got to bring it up.
If we decide on another percentage about the defense spendings, and I said NATO. Yes, NATO, and I said that Italy is reaching the 2% as it was already decided. We didn't speak about a specific other percentage, but we are aware of the fact that defense is important for the future, and we see what also the work that we are trying to do at the European level.
And I don't hold Zelensky responsible, but I'm not exactly thrilled with the fact that that war started. That was a war that would have never started if I were president. You'd have millions of people living right now that are dead. You'd have cities that would be open and thriving and that have their beautiful turrets. Those turrets are the most beautiful in the world, but they're not with us any longer. They're smashed to smithereens, laying on the ground in a million pieces, getting hit by rockets, bombs, and bullets. And so I'm not happy with him, and I'm not happy with anybody involved. I think it's a war. I know it's a war. It didn't happen for 4 years. It was never close to happening. It was never even a thought. And I spoke to President Putin about it a lot. It was the apple of his eye, but there's no way he would have ever gone in if I were president. Now I'm trying to get him to stop because, as you know, Russia's a lot bigger.
Back to you, Mayor.
Well, I mean, it really is. It's interesting that he's saying that because you should know that although most of the people in Western Europe, not necessarily again Hungary or Eastern Europe, don't agree with the president on the reservations about Zelensky. She has always been, although in favor of Ukraine, in favor of supporting Ukraine, she's always been skeptical and criticized for it by, of course, the left-wing press, and therefore more amenable to his more balanced position with regard to Ukraine. Exactly why, in the case of Giorgia Meloni, I don't know. I don't know. All I can do is assume that she knows about Ukraine what I know about Ukraine and what he does, what a corrupt country they are, how Zelensky is very much a part of that, how the glorification and sanctification of Zelensky is just a complete process of the corrupt Western press. That, of course, he doesn't have the kind of responsibility for this that Putin has, nor is he a Putin. But by the same token, he's not someone that you want in the foxhole with you, because he may take your wallet out of the foxhole. Whereas a lot of Europe and the left wing have, made him their current saint, which they tend to do, right? They tend to sanctify the people that they want you to support as if they are superheroes. And we find out that he's anything but that. He's rather a product of one of the most corrupt countries in the world, which is Ukraine. The end result of this meeting is, will she be able to secure a very good deal for the EU? And the president did make a rather positive comment that he's certain they're going to come up with a deal for the EU. Now, one of the things he hasn't done is put it on the front burner. He's put on the front burner the deal with Japan, which he is personally working on. And he's got several others that are going on seriatim with that, which he's involved in. The one he's spending the most time with is the Japanese one. It is not the EU. The EU is probably in a category I would describe as certainly not going to get punished. Maybe a teeny bit for having tried to do retaliation. Maybe not. He might have forgotten that. But they're not going to get first level treatment like Japan, like Vietnam. It came forward with a 0-0 right away. I can give you a couple of other examples like that. Would she get that if she wanted it for herself? No question, yes. Puts her in a very difficult position, doesn't it? She knows she could have come in today, and she could have she could have had her delegation sit down right across the hall from Japan, just get ready for pretty much the same deal. Maybe even a little better. Who knows? Maybe a little worse. But she also has to maintain a position with EU. So I say, and this is Rudy's prediction, she plays it out a little to try to help all of her neighbors. And if it doesn't work, then she's got to put her country first, and it won't hurt her. She's going to come out with one of the number one deals no matter what. Her. European Union is not going to get the same deal. They're not entitled to it. They haven't done for us what she's done for us. They don't agree with our values right down the line the way she does. Hungary does. Poland does. Lithuania does. Latvia does. You got a whole bunch of European countries that come way before Eastern Europe, Western Europe. And you got North Korea. And we mentioned Vietnam. Vietnam may suggest, like Italy suggests for Europe, a couple of other of those Southeast Asian countries that might be very, very lucrative places for excellent trade negotiations that would pull them away from China. And Vietnam could be the key to that. But it looks to me like Vietnam wants to maintain its number one position first. These are all possibilities opened up by the genius of Donald Trump. And denied us because we had, I don't know what we had. Well, denied us because we had stupid people, among other things. So we'll see how the Maloney thing progresses on that score. But we also have to see how it progresses in terms of developing the strong anti-China coalition that will become part of who gets the best deals and who don't. Now, in the case of Vietnam, that has to be much more subtle. I mean, Vietnam is in too sensitive a position to be overtly anti-China. I have to say, it took an enormous amount of courage sitting where they sit next to China to come forward and lead the group in recommending a 0-0 tariff. And that started to make Trump a winner right away. Nobody's suggesting a 0-0 tariff with China. Nobody's rushing to China. In fact, Trump is sitting there in his nice desk looking like he's having a nighttime talk show with a beautiful guest, Georgia Maloney. And Xi Jinping is traveling around Europe, Asia, trying to scratch for deals. He doesn't travel that much. They got him off his ass, and he's scratching around. We have them on a run. And he's not going to play it up that way, and he shouldn't. But we should understand that as we analyze what he's doing. Xi Jinping is trying to win over nations that think that maybe they'll be screwed by the U.S., particularly Asian ones, where he can have negotiations and discussions. Is he? Is he going to be able to succeed? Maybe a little bit in South America because of animosities there, like Like, you see Vietnam come to our aid that way. And they're like a South American country is to us, right? They've lived in the shadow of China forever, have never liked it, there's never been close relations, and they see an opportunity to help themselves. They're going to take it, and we have to be smart enough to know how to nurse that. So we're going to take a short break, and we'll be right back. Here we are, pretty much at the beginning of the process here at this pristine, I call it a laboratory. It's not like a factory, it's like a hospital. This is the beginning of the process for roasting. Deep grain, very good quality. Most people don't use this quality. We deal with small farmers because they like to know who we're dealing with. They give us the highest quality, all organic, non-GMO. You should know all Arabica beans, no Robusto, all Arabica. They're going to go into the roaster, and it'll get roasted for about 20 minutes or so. Oh my goodness, look at these. My goodness. You're going to want to specially order these. This is what goes into Rudy's coffee. You got that on?
Are you ready for some action?
I'm ready for action.
Get the Elite TV plan only through the portal. 218 channels, and it's only $69.95 a month,
Wow.
including your free portal.
That's cheaper than everyone else.
Your favorite sports, movies, news,
Wow.
even daytime dramas. We're talking about ESPN, OAN, Newsmax,
Wow.
channels you can't get anymore in certain areas.
Compared to the competition, this is a way better deal.
Endless selection. Not to mention all the free music channels. There's over 700 premium and classic movies all ready to go.
Wow.
Plus, they got catch-up TV that allows you to go back and watch what you've missed or want to watch again. Cut your cable in half and get twice as much for free.
Way more channels for half the cost.
After the first year, the subscription then drops to $57.95 monthly,
Wow.
where you change or upgrade anytime. Go to QUXNow.com and get yours today. Use promo code RUDY. Act fast.
These
Welcome back to America's Mayor Live. We're live from Palm Beach. And here we are on a very holy night, on Holy Thursday night, the night that represents the Last Supper and Jesus' institution of the sacrament of the Eucharist, so that he could share his body and blood with us as a way of helping us in our perfection of our life and our ability to be received into heaven as a faithful child of God. It's a beautiful story. It's one that gets repeated every year sacramentally in Holy Week, with Holy Thursday and Good Friday and Holy Saturday, and of course the glorious resurrection on Easter Sunday. And I hope it's one that you're participating in if you're Christian, or at least observing for sociological and historical purposes. I find it hard. I've seen the most absurd things in politics. The Russian collusion thing, which was a paid-for fraud of the worst dimensions, a crime of the worst sort, and also one in which newspapers like the Times and the Washington Post got Pulitzer Prizes, which they still maintain, even though it's absolutely false. I mean, we burned down statues of Robert E. Lee, but the New York Times gets to keep its Pulitzer Prize for the phoniest story of the 21st century. Okay, you go explain that to me. Well, here's the one I do not understand. I do not understand, for the life of me, this guy, Senator Von Hollen. Senator Von Hollen. Now, if we took a poll, he's a Democrat. He used to be a congressman. He was a really jerk-off, jackass, silly liberal, to me, pansy boy congressman. Okay. You got my view of him? Okay. Now, but this is like beyond that. The guy goes back for a second day. He doesn't get the point that they're not going to give him Garcia. He wants to bring home. I mean, congressmen and senators go someplace to bring home hostages and heroes. This guy wants to bring home a wife beater. Let me see if I can bring the wife beater back to Maryland. Somehow we accidentally got rid of him. But we should bring him back because we don't have enough wife beaters in Maryland. He came into the United States illegally, and they tossed him out, but they didn't follow the right procedure. Let's get him back. What does he represent, Ted? I mean, what?
This is day 2. Here is Senator Van Hollen on day 2 of his trip to.
Okay, just show the whole picture. I wanted to show the large turnout he had.
I'm getting that ready, but I have to cut.
Yeah, I mean, he's also very compelling. He draws large crowds wherever he goes.
Garcia has his rights to due process, which is what the courts of the United States have called for. They have said that his abduction is illegal, and they have called upon him to be brought back to the United States.
Okay, so we'll try to get some. Yeah, so he's just basically complaining yet again that he's been denied access to this MS-13 gang member.
And he sounds very sad when it's happening.
He's also mentioned that he's not coming back until I don't know if he sees him or he's not coming back without him.
All right, I like.
Either way, he may be down there for quite some time. He may be down there for quite some time.
So
and we have a great picture. I'm trying to. Just takes a second. I have to reformat the picture. It's the wrong size.
Oh, Garcia?
No, the senator.
You got the picture of the president.
I have a great
El
picture.
Salvador. He hardly is a pansy boy like this.
Yeah, he wouldn't meet with them either. So this is the second day that the senator has attempted to meet with this individual, and he's been denied.
His country club button-down shirt, no tie, like he's going for lunch at the country
I was
club.
going to say, what is he wearing?
He's going for lunch at the country club in El
He's
Salvador.
on a little junket,
He doesn't realize he's dealing with a lot of tough people.
He doesn't have.
Not like him, not like the silly wimp.
I just don't get it. I don't get it. And the people of Maryland are okay with this?
They're going to have,
that's what I really want to know.
Maybe they're planning for Easter Sunday, like a major parade.
Here's a photo.
Welcoming Garcia back. And with him promising not to break his wife's jaw again. He's going to make a promise. There he is. See how popular he is? He goes to El Salvador. The people of El Salvador are crap. The reason he went to El Salvador, he wanted to develop a lot of popular support in El Salvador.
Right.
For the idea of bringing Garcia back. Now we see the popular support for it in El Salvador.
Look at this guy.
Nobody there but the left-wing reporters who came with him.
That's also terrible staff work. That guy, I mean, put him in the corner at least, or against the wall.
I've been to El Salvador. You have to know although these Latin American countries are very poor, they have unbelievably elaborate rooms.
Really?
Gold, on your feet.
Yeah.
They had to pick the room next to the bathroom for That's the room next to the bathroom.
So
that's got to be the worst room in the entire palace.
Van Hollen's going to have some time down there, I think. So I think he might have got some tattoos when he was down there.
That is funny.
Well, that make Garcia feel at home.
Yeah.
Right. And Garcia is really in trouble because Garcia's real problem if they let him out is he's in danger of being beaten up by another mob. which has got to tell you he is a member of a mob. And another mob is going to beat him up. And it's like, you can't send him back. He's going to be beaten up by another mob. Why are we so stupid? Why do we have such stupid people?
Mayor, that's my question here. How is this popular in Maryland? And maybe we'll learn that it's not. Maybe he'll learn that it's not.
If you took a poll and you said to the people in Maryland, do you think your senator, with everything that's going on in the world, should be spending the weekend in El Salvador trying to get by a guy who, now let's give you all the facts. He came in illegally. He was deported. A judge said you can't deport him because another gang may beat him up. There then was a complaint put against him by his girlfriend that he beat the living daylights out of her. And then they threw him out. Now they want him back. And your senator is working hard to get him back. Do you think that's a good use of his time? Is there a person in Maryland who would say yes?
I can't imagine.
Is it an insane asylum or something? Or?
I can't imagine. What they're banking on is that the media's biased coverage mixed with the Democrat lies will convince enough people that this is just a Maryland father who was mistaken and caught up in this removal process.
Given the fight back by Carolyn Levitt, this has to be at least 50-50 now on that.
No, I actually think we're in the majority. I do think we're in the. I think a majority of Americans.
I don't know. You never can tell. I don't know. I'd like to see a poll, but I hate to say that because I always tell you polls don't matter. They do matter, and they do help.
That's something.
You have to know who did it, but.
Right. I think people jumped the gun on this thing and they were like, "Oh, let's protect this innocent guy," and they have no idea.
But why is he back there a second day?
Well, his lawyer was lying too. His lawyer has lied and covered up.
That's a shocker.
Say it again.
That's a shocker. Yeah, no, his lawyer wasn't honest. This guy didn't hire an honest lawyer. Like, what? Weird.
But so his lawyer was did withhold certain pieces of information. And I believe he actually bamboozled the members of the media on some of these facts, right? And again,
expertly so, honestly. Yeah. People thought he was a Maryland father mistakenly deported.
Yeah. And
they still report it that way.
Isn't that something?
Maryland father has been mistakenly put in with the El Salvador.
Just an innocent father for
MS. Maryland father who just happens to have all kinds of MS-13 tattoos on his face and all over his body and up his ass.
Well, I don't know.
He's got a big tattoo right up his ass.
Apparently he was found with two known members of MS-13. He had a bunch of cash on him where the eyes and the ears of the figure in the middle, George Washington for the $1 bill, Lincoln for the $5, is it?
Yeah.
Are covered. So that's something gangs do. They go through the money and cover up the eyes and the ears on the dollar bills.
It's disrespectful to the United States.
It's also illegal,
Yeah. So they do these, and so
it's not negotiable theoretically, but the people do it anyway.
So he's known to have had all that, and a lot of this information, to the president's credit, I think he let Chris Van Hollen go down there, and then they released more information, right?
But these are probably the people. Maybe these are the people that vote for Chris Van Hollen. All the people in jail, all the criminals.
Now we're on to something.
Maybe this is why they bring these people in, because who the hell is going to vote for? Would you vote for a jackass like that? Would you vote? Look at him in that room again. This is what, if I'm running against, this is what I'm showing.
Oh, right.
He's a very effective politician. Look at the crowds he draws. Everywhere he goes, people are flocking. People are flocking at Chris.
At least he's got a plan.
It's like me when I go someplace, right? Have you ever been in a room like that, Ted?
Not once. I can say that, not once. And we never put the mic.
I've been in rooms like that, but I've never
put the mic in the middle of the floor like that.
Let's say I went down there and made an announcement. I was in that room in El Salvador. How many people do you think would show up?
That thing would be. Steven would have to
just in El Salvador
barricade that door from being busted open.
I've been in El Salvador.
I
was in Mexico and they covered me with helicopters.
Oh wow!
Bernie and I, helicopters. There were so many people flocking around us.
Wow.
What a
You'd
putz.
think after
This
he
guy.
flubbed that outdoor press conference that was absolutely terrible and shaky camera work and
Yeah.
everything, he'd be like, okay, we got to really nail this one, guys. We're gonna go
did.
with open room.
He wanted to show it.
Big up the open room.
It was terrible.
He wanted to show what a big room he had.
Yeah. I
Look,
think
I'm
so.
very important. They gave me a big.
If anything, this look. So if I'm, let's say, for some reason I'm in Garcia's
He was
camp.
denied a second time. Senator Chris Van Hollen traveled to El Salvador, but was denied a second time a request.
He didn't come back, right? Or he came back and
I
then
think
went
he's
again.
staying. I don't know how long he can keep
Ted
up this
said
charade.
he's not gonna leave until
He
he
needs
gets
some-
Garcia.
I hope he's got some long-term
This could
arrangements
be
down there.
This could be a reality show.
Right. Let's count.
Bring
We'll do
home-
a friendly wager, Mayor.
Bring
How
home
long does he
Garcia.
last?
Bring home Garcia.
He's a weak guy, so
Well, wait,
not only
let's
does
take
he-
Garcia and leave him down there. Maybe.
Yeah, what I'm taking is
But look, if I'm Garcia, I'm being told, hey, I think there's somebody coming down here to save you, brother. He's coming to get you. And then he finds out it's this guy.
The cavalry is this
Can you-
absolute. This is the
He's-
cavalry coming to save
He's
you
like
right now.
he's expecting like
Yeah.
some real tough guy. It's like, oh, this is the guy.
This is the guy they said for me. Jeez, I have no chance now.
If for any other reason I'd stop being a Democrat after watching this whole
Look at this.
this whole joke unfold.
Look at the support that he has.
Never
It's
mind the
fabulous.
content of what he's doing.
The
and
wife wants him back anyway, though.
wow,
Yep.
that
Not
was in the New York
uncommon,
Post.
by the way, for the victim of
Stockholm
Sadly.
syndrome.
of abuse. He had a history of violence. He had a history.
This guy, I mean, we're learning more and more. It seems like by
here's
the
a
hour.
description. Here's a description on May 4th, 2021. I was watching on my laptop and he yelled at me to turn it off. I told him I wasn't sleepy. He got angry, reached over, shut, and threw my laptop on the floor. And the baby started to cry because he was putting pressure on it. My immediate reaction was to push off of us. And he then punched, scratched me on my left eye, leaving me bleeding.
Wait a second. This is the wife?
Yeah.
Retelling the story.
Yeah.
This guy is literally a wife beater.
And did you say he's
Literally-
putting pressure on the baby?
That's whatever that meant. I don't know.
Like putting pressure on the baby, I think, just as
But he
easy-
punched her. She's saying he punched him or punched her. This guy's a
He-
wife beater.
And he then punched me, scratched me on my left eye, leaving me bleeding.
So
That's in the complaint.
that's in a complaint. Okay. Well, so was he ever charged?
She never went forward with it. After
Okay.
she filed that, she wouldn't go forward.
Okay. My understanding is that he and we so maybe I need to gather the facts.
She didn't want to escalate it after she survived abuse. Listen to this, in a previous relationship. Well, I'll tell you the whole story. I'll tell you that. I mean, if you understand domestic violence, which I did a lot.
Thankfully, I
cases
don't
of-
have to, right?
This would be this is a woman who is a mark for this. And this was her second abusive relationship, and here she's involved with a guy who's a member and a leader in a murderous gang.
I don't think they must know this is a losing issue as more and more come out on this guy. But Van Hollen,
And she says we shouldn't be deported to the country where we're supposed to be protected from being deported from. No, he's not being protected from being deported from El Salvador. He's being protected from another gang member in El Salvador. The risk is not that El Salvador's doing anything to him, except maybe put him in prison where he belongs. They're not going to politically persecute him, which is what it's for. Some other gang member is going to do something to him. So we're protecting him for the gang. So that Maryland suffers and the gang gains. Van Hollen, I cannot come to terms with what's wrong with you, other than you sure as hell don't belong in the Senate, the House, or with any position of responsibility of any kind over the lives of other people, because you're too damn stupid to take care of your own life. Look at you down there all by yourself.
breaking news, Mayor.
Yeah.
The senator will, in fact, be able to return to the United States. Just 1 minute ago, he has posted a picture of himself meeting with none other than Mr. Garcia. So we're gonna bring up that picture.
And they gave him a Chiefs hat, so it's not as do you want to?
Yeah, let's bring up that picture.
So they gave him a Chiefs hat because Bulls hat was, he already learned that lesson. So what are they?
This just was posted a minute ago.
Where is that?
Well, that's probably in El Salvador.
Is that the jail though?
It certainly seems like a restaurant or something.
No, it could be the.
What do they not put him in jumps? He's wearing a Chiefs hat and a collared shirt. Huh. So this is brand new, right, Steven? This is just a minute ago.
This is literally, within minutes. He just posted this.
Breaking news. So Van Hollen was able to get his meeting in.
They were like, shoot, he's not leaving. We might as well just, let him get there.
But that was just posted, right?
Just like within the last 2 minutes. Maybe 3 at this point.
So this is interesting.
But what's gonna come of that?
Nothing. I mean, what?
A picture.
A guy with no. Thanks for helping me out.
Thanks for the photo op.
I mean, in some ways, it's a face saver for him. He got his meeting.
Yeah, he got the meeting. That's what.
On the other hand, the meeting accomplished nothing. He doesn't take him with him.
I was going to say, is he taking him with him?
I don't. And then he comes back and says whatever he wants about the meeting, which will probably be not true.
Right.
All it does is just continue this ridiculous attempt to bring a criminal back.
But he's a wife beater.
Yeah, but we want him back. I mean,
where does he get that hat?
They dressed him up, to look better.
So this was knowing it was a photo op.
It's
right?
funny though, because that's not even. I mean,
but is that standard? I guess I don't know the law.
It's better than like shirtless and shaved head, but like
I don't think there's anything.
I
don't think there's anything standard about it. I mean, they just work this out to get rid of him rather than have him hanging around. And
they didn't want him down there for.
I guess
right, and you wonder, long term, it is a United States senator, so they may have,
and they have to occasionally deal with his political party, right?
Right.
Like they were just in the White House for 4 years torturing the El Salvador government.
They may steal the next election too, so we may have to deal with them. So that picture again, just moments ago, you saw it first here on America's Mayor Live. There it is.
There it is. Yeah.
So unfortunately,
they really seem to have connected. They bonded. He and the wife beater bonded.
Unfortunately, that means we will have Mr. Van Hollen back in Maryland shortly.
Shooting his big mouth off and endangering the people of Maryland some more.
And he gets to spike the football on this one. Yeah, look, this doesn't help Kilmar that much, but the senator gets to put up the photo op. He probably couldn't wait to get that photo up, and now he gets to return home as a champion while he leaves his buddy back there for now.
Kilmer doesn't. I mean, Garcia doesn't come back. It doesn't happen.
Maybe he got a pack of smokes or something. A coffee. Looks like he got.
Yeah, maybe MS-13 will give him some special favors in Maryland or something. Right.
Boy, look at him. He is. And has he once met with the mother of Rachel Morin, Pat Morin?
No, he hasn't.
Has he mentioned it? I don't think he mentioned it once on his social media. And that was Maryland, I believe.
Yeah. She doesn't matter. Her daughter has to get killed because these people have to come in and vote for Democrats. Well, Harvard has hired de Blasio and Lori Lighthead to be part of their distinguished faculty on city political affairs. They're going to teach people to be great mayors and great city politicians and theoreticians and philosophers based on the fact that they're submorons.
Right.
De Blasio was, without any account, all Democrats, all Republicans agree, the worst mayor of the history of the city. Even those encountering mayors like Dinkins and others say de Blasio was a complete and absolute, ridiculous, idiotic moron of a communist mayor. But Harvard took him. Now, I watched Lori Lightfoot. She shouldn't be teaching at the she shouldn't be teaching at the cat rehabilitation pound, much less people.
Isn't that amazing?
I mean, she's a complete jackass. She looks like she put her finger in a socket and she went.
Well, Mayor, I'd take a page out of your playbook. I'd take that course and listen on what not to do.
Well, I would say, what the hell are you paying this scumbag school all this money for? This is a school hiring these people. Schools are supposed to hire excellent teachers. Now, let's forget all the rest about Harvard being anti-Semitic, Harvard being anti-American, Harvard being anti-Catholic, Harvard being anti-God, Harvard being anti-education, Harvard being anti-Western civilization. What the hell is it for? But it's also anti-decent teachers.
Right.
I mean, what do you evaluate a school on? I mean, the quality of their teachers. De Blasio and Lighthead? Are you freaking kidding me? You're going to pay money to send your kids to a school taught by two completely big, gigantic, idiotic joke failures? If it wasn't for the left-wing press, they'd have been destroyed.
Right.
And even the left-wing press, if you get them off the record, would tell you they are morons.
Right. You've taught at Harvard?
What?
You've taught at Harvard?
Yeah. I haven't taught classes, but I'd never taught there as a teacher. But
well, my dad used to say those, and I don't believe in this necessarily, but I'm just going to repeat it. Those who can't do, teach.
Might be.
I don't know. I think that was a little bit.
They're both.
There's some very good teachers, right? There's some very good.
Well, they can't do both.
Mostly bad.
Yeah.
They can't do or teach.
Well, they proved to us that they can't do. I mean, they both served.
Harvard's in trouble with another big laws because they're hiding records on students. Harvard doesn't want to turn over the records of their foreign students because there are too many communist spies. No question about it. That's been true for years. Had we gone back and done that way back during the Roosevelt administration, we might have saved ourselves a communist Eastern Europe.
Right.
RFK Jr. is going to conduct a study, and it's going to hopefully end by December to make some determinations on fluoride in water and which studies are correct. The ones that say they're okay and the ones that say they're exceedingly dangerous, because there are both. And he's about the only one who's got the guts to say that there are both, because everybody else is tied into the other. They're afraid to say it. The industrial complex would lose a lot of money if it turned out that, in fact, the unbelievably ridiculous increase in autism has something to do with some external factor. You know what the increase is? And you go explain it to me, because I can't. And tell me we don't need an explanation to it. So back in 2000, which is what, 25 years ago?
Yeah.
One in 150 children developed autism. By 2016, it was 1 in 54. Now it's 1 in 31. How does that happen? You explain to me how that happens. 2000, 1 in 150, age 8 or under, develop autism. 16 years later, it goes down to 1 in 54. And then 9 years later, it goes down to 1 in 31. So they say better early detection and increased awareness. But we weren't exactly in the jungles in 2000. I remember when I was mayor, the whole situation with attention deficit disorder, and that was 1994. It wasn't like in 2000 we couldn't notice autism. So in 1 in 2000, we were recognizing only 1 in 150, and now it's 1 in 31. And it has nothing to do with any change in environment and we want to be sure of that? Or are we afraid to find out? And our kids aren't that important anyway. Not anymore. The United Kingdom Supreme Court has come up with a definition of women. Shocking. A woman is a woman and a man is a man. And only two. The ruling found that the terms women and sex included in the nation's 2010 Equality Act refer to a biological woman and biological sex. Biological, I think that's a nice way of saying among the English, who are always very nice about these things. It's a nice way of saying that if you got one, you're a man, and if you have the other thing, you're a woman. And if necessary, a person of the correct sex can make a determination by looking. Right?
Right.
Good.
What do you think of the women's swim team here? 2025 Women's Olympic Swim Team.
I mean, do we want to win or,
Yeah.
if you're not cheating, you're not trying?
This
Is
is how
that
you got to do it these days.
Mayor? How are these even? And the president mentions this, and you mention it.
Well, but Maine,
Can you even believe? Yeah.
What's the governor of Maine all about?
What's going on with that? I mean, but why?
She wants men and women sports.
She wants to win.
Did you see the guy on television the other day who said he thought that women were just as strong as men?
Yes, John Oliver, I think you're referring to, right?
Oh my goodness! What was it about that? You're right. He did a whole thing on it.
It was about
possibilities where women are stronger
I
than
think
men.
he was.
John,
I think he's speaking
John,
from it.
speak
Yeah.
for yourself.
John, what do you have to tell us?
Hey,
what
hey,
happened?
Tweety, speak for yourself.
You boxed a woman, and what happened?
What happened?
It's
What
okay,
happened when
you
were-
can tell
when you were
us.
6 year old, years old,
No.
you were in your shorty pants. A 5-year-old woman knocked you out.
Not when he was 6. I think he got beat up by a woman when he was 30.
So what is happening in Maine here?
John Oliver. I don't think of John Oliver and think, wow, there's a man.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely not.
It's just the opposite. It is illegal to exclude a biological male who claims female gender.
Right.
It's illegal to exclude them from a woman's event.
Right.
So I can walk in and say, I'm a man and I want to lift weights, and my name is Sally. But my real name is Rocco Santoro. And I'm 290, and I'm 290, and I can lift 600 pounds.
Yeah, let's go.
Oh, come on. Hey, honey, you kind of work with me.
I'm Sally.
Not to shift here, but Rocco, you always use Rocco when you got to fill in a name.
I know.
You must have knew a Rocco. You must have knew a real eccentric Rocco back in the day. Maybe.
I must have. I got to think about it. I can't remember.
Okay. But that's right, Mayor. And so it's.
But I got to tell you one thing. I haven't found too many Italian guys who are trans.
Right. Yeah, I mean, look, Mayor, again, right? Like
they're going to find one for me now. I'm going to be very embarrassed.
Yeah.
My father will turn over in his grave.
But the president talks about too. He's like he'll be talking about this issue and he'll stop and just say,
"My father would turn over in his grave if he thought there was an Italian to do that."
would he believe that we're talking about this issue and like as a serious debate?
I can't imagine the language he would use.
They would say you're lucky.
He'd make up words they had never heard before in combinations unheard of before.
Oh, and I loved to have met your dad.
Oh, he would have come up with combinations that even Donald Trump would have found amazing.
Yeah. Well, the apple doesn't fall far from the tree, as they say.
This would not have been a hard one to persuade him on.
I have a feeling I know where he stands just by knowing.
I think people would be confused.
Are you effing kidding me?
People would be like, "Wait, what?"
He would think we're messing with him.
Out of your mind? What are we talking about?
He wouldn't believe it. He'd think we've gone nuts. He'd say we're the crazy ones.
He was a boxer, right?
Yeah.
The guy wants to box the girl. What? You
Yeah.
go to jail for that.
There's like a weird, sick thing about that almost.
You go to jail for that.
I think there is
Like wanting to beat up on like a weaker.
You go to jail.
Yeah.
You go to jail for that.
It's insane. I don't even get it, which is probably a good thing.
Well,
I don't think I
didn't they
want
allow it in the Olympics?
I heard that in East Germany, and I want to go back and see if that's the truth.
What
They
happened?
mentioned that East Germany used to have men in women's sports back in the day.
East Germany.
Yeah.
Well, when it was communist.
I'll have to look back at that, but that's what I.
Maybe their women went through something, or
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know, they were at Chernobyl or something.
That was in Ukraine.
But
Yeah.
it's part of the Soviet Union
At the time, it was the Soviet Union, right?
Yeah, it was Soviet Union. It's in Ukraine, right at the tip. Right at
That
the
is
top.
interesting, and that something came up about that right at the beginning of the war. I don't know if like Russia.
Do
or
you know?
something
Do you
threatened
know
or
they
something.
the Russians put a lot of their nuclear material in Ukraine, which is why Ukraine had to sign an agreement when it became free, and it gave up all its nuclear weapons.
Didn't
Yeah, and both the United States and Russia, promised to protect it against aggression. That didn't work out too
Oh
well.
yeah, I don't know.
Oh, wow.
One did it, and the other stood by.
Yeah.
That's a good
Very
point.
noble, very noble. But in any event,
That is.
I
funny.
think there was some very intelligent reasoning behind that madness, right? It was, let's get it out of Russia.
The nuclear material.
Wait a second.
Yeah,
That brings up an interesting question. I'd like to get your opinion on, Mayor. At the beginning of the Russia-Ukraine war, if the U.S. did, let's say, shoot or do something at the beginning of that thing, and maybe kill some Russians, but to make that point, like we're not allowing this, would things have escalated, or would that could Russia have been at that time convinced to push back? Curious on your thoughts on that.
Well, it's a little difficult a question just to give a quick answer to, because it's hard to know.
Thinking back to that,
I would say yes. If we pushed back, it wouldn't have happened because it wasn't going to happen.
I see what you're saying.
It wasn't going to happen. One, it didn't happen during Trump.
Exactly. Okay.
So we know he was risk averse, right?
Right.
In other words,
So Putin knew ahead
he
of
could
time.
have said to himself, hey, Trump doesn't like war. I can go in there and take a chance.
Yeah.
But he didn't want to take the chance that Trump put to us, and probably even a greater chance than that when we said to him, how did you stop him from, going into Ukraine and whatever? I said, I told him if he did it, I would just go bomb Moscow.
Yeah.
And we said, well, did he believe you? And he said 10%. And
That's
now, we don't-
genius.
I don't know if that's true, 10% or whatever, but think about that. The 10%, if you are even a homicidal but responsible world leader, is going to stop you, because the 10% means that 200 million of your people die.
Yeah.
So you say to yourself, I want Ukraine, but I don't want 100 million people to die.
Right.
So I'll wait. So Biden comes in. First thought in his mind has to be like it was with Obama, because it took him 3 years with Obama to figure out about going in.
Into
Let me
Crimea.
see.
You're right.
More than that, because Obama was in. It took
Oh,
him,
wait.
6 years with Obama.
Oh my goodness. Yeah.
So, let me look at the guy and see
and Bush, he waited till the end of Bush's.
if Afghanistan hadn't happened. If just somehow it just didn't happen, we pulled out and nothing happened. We
Yeah.
just pulled out and we made a deal. We kept some troops there. We kept Bagram. I'd say it never happens.
Yeah.
Bagram happening said to him, Jesus, this guy will do nothing. I can push this guy all around the world.
Right.
And then remember, he taunted him for 5 months, and Biden stupidly gave him the answer by saying no troops on the ground, 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 no troops. He was saying it so often it got to be absurd. It also got ridiculous to me that none of our analysts were picking it up. The guy was
The Russians certainly did.
What?
The Russians certainly
and
picked
Rudy-
up on that.
and Rudy picked it up.
And the mayor did.
It was playing him like a fiddle. It was, let me test him.
Yeah.
I'm going to invade. What are you going to do? No boots on the ground. No boots. Don't do it. No boots on the ground. No boots on the ground. He looks at that often enough, and he said, I think the guy means it. Now, had it would have been stupid after saying no boots on the ground to do the opposite, right? to suck the guy into war, and then
put boots on the ground.
Suppose he had put boots on the ground right at that point.
That would have
Would
hurt
that
him.
have stopped him? Might not. It might have been too late.
And that would have
He might have gone too far then.
And that would have destroyed his approval numbers.
Or it might have worked, but it would have been a very, very. Biden crossed the Rubicon when he said, "I'm not going to contest it."
Yeah.
And then he really crossed the Rubicon when he said, "Well, maybe a little invasion would be okay."
Do you think?
I mean, you could. There's no way you could have done more, unless you wrote a letter and assured Putin, "If you invade, I will do nothing with troops."
Right.
He made it clear to him in every way possible that he wasn't going to do it. And once he did it that way, I don't know how he could ever turn around.
Right. Well, Obama certainly.
And effectively put troops there. Now,
Obama
let's put it another way. Putin starts massing troops on the border of Ukraine up in Belarus. And Biden says, "Get the F out of there." And Biden says to NATO, "We got to do something about that." And all of a sudden, he moves 100,000 troops into Poland.
See, it's just so hard to picture Biden doing any of this.
Yeah,
you know.
Well, you think,
and he goes into he goes into Moldova, who's not part of NATO, and says, "We're putting troops in here. See what Moldova does. Just push them." And he puts troops right on the border of Ukraine. And then as Putin puts more troops in, he puts troops inside Ukraine. And then he puts troops at the border. He doesn't do it.
And when we say Biden, we're really meaning Ron Klain. Let's keep that in mind.
Yeah.
Or even, we're saying the communists.
And it's
around him.
It's so hard to
and this
think
is
back. And everyone, a lot of people thought Putin was bluffing.
Nobody did. Not a single person in the world thought he was bluffing.
Well, maybe some of these left. No, absolutely not. I mean, Putin, one thing that got, I mean, look at Bush, look at Obama, look at Trump, look at Biden. It's so, I mean, there's.
If he was going to do it on Bush and he was doing it on Obama, who were more difficult propositions.
Yes.
Because they never gave him quite the, you can do it. No boots on the ground.
Yeah. But he still did it.
But he basically did, it was close.
Who?
Obama.
Yeah, but Obama was.
He had the red line in Syria. Then
at least you don't know for sure.
You don't know for sure. Exactly. And that's coming out of the 90s and the early 2000s where you're right.
Oh, I thought it was a good gamble on the part of Putin. But in any event.
He won 2 of those gambles.
But with Biden, there was no gamble at all.
Yeah, exactly. Obama and Bush. I think he would say he was successful.
When Trump says it's an unnecessary war, everybody knows he's right. Completely unnecessary.
Even the liars at the Atlantic Council.
Necessary, even if you take Trump out of the equation, it wouldn't have been necessary. if even after Afghanistan, it wouldn't have been necessary. If Biden had taken a stronger position, even a phony stronger position on Ukraine.
Right. And this, and by the way,
he had created the 10%.
Yeah, right. And by the way, our analysis here, we haven't even taken into account the very real corruption that the Biden family has been involved in Ukraine. And so
we don't even know
what they're.
We don't even know underneath what the deals
right.
with Biden.
We're still.
Remember, he also got money from Russia.
Right. So we're still analyzing this as an American president who's. So this goes deep.
And I can't tell you how much money he got from Russia. I know he got $3.5 million from the mayor of Moscow's wife. That had escalated in a real estate deal into somewhere over 10 million, but I don't have the tracing of that. It's beyond the hard drive. I do know he had other Russian deals. So who knows what his entanglements were with Russia?
Exactly. And so
the guy who paid him all the money from Ukraine was a Russian favoring Ukraine. He was not a Ukrainian favoring Ukraine.
Right.
So Biden certainly could play both sides of the table in Ukraine.
Right.
So he hardly was like a Ukrainian nationalist. He was a
Biden moneyist, a Biden
like a
financial
thug.
Yeah, really, a gangster. Cash Patel put it right. Government gangsters.
Amen.
Well, Mayor.
Well, we're going to be back tomorrow. We'll be back tomorrow, and we'll see whether we get to maybe we get to an agreement with Japan by tomorrow as a prototype of what can be done.
And I like that we're prioritizing Japan. I think that's appropriate
with trade. And I've got my own top 10 in terms of allies that could fight wars with us. And we get 7 of the 10, and there's no group on earth that can touch us. Forget Russia, forget China. I know the 7 countries we need, and none of them are the reluctant ones. The countries that have historically fought and won wars.
I can think of one.
Because China wants to take us over. They think about it every day. They act on it every day. They've got unknown millions here in the United States that are basically put here for that reason, thanks to Biden. Thanks to Biden, we don't know who 3/4 of them are. And they have infiltrated our schools, our government, our entertainment industry, our intellectuals, our religions. When did a pope ever appoint bishops with the approval of the government, the Chinese government? Maybe not the next pope, huh? Please God. So we got a battle on our hands, but I will say I see no unrealistic views of it within this administration. They seem to get it. They seem to get who the enemy is, and that's where the focus has to be. So I'll conclude with the following two exercises in hypocrisy: one domestic and one foreign. The foreign exercise in democracy is North Korea yelling foul because we're sending B-1B strategic bombers to do a joint military drill with South Korea. North Korea is actually complaining about military drills when that's all they do over South Korea, over Japan. Hey, fatso, stick it up your fat, you know what? You know those bombers, babes? 3 or 4 of them could take your little shit country out.
That's the B-1B right there. The little afterburners on the takeoff.
Hey, fatso, you deal with that. These things don't fall down in the middle of flight. They make it to their target and they take it out. And for what you've done to your people, they should get one that has just your name on it. You're a really dumb little son of a bitch, I'll tell you. Trump had you just where he wanted you. I mean, I don't think he can get you back there again. I think you're a sick little puppy. And I think your sister runs everything anyway, but that's what I think. Stefanik is going to run against Hochul, maybe. That sounds pretty good, right?
It does.
Basberg wants to hold the people in contempt who want to keep the who don't want to bring the rapists, the murderers, the perverts, the child molesters back from Venezuela that they successfully sent to Venezuela and to El Salvador. He wants them all back.
What?
That's a federal judge appointed by Obama, who put large numbers of J6 people in jail for doing nothing, with a great deal of bloodthirsty enthusiasm. He wants a due process for the illegal rapists, murderers, and perverts, and he wants no process for decent American citizens who disagree with him politically. That's the definition of a district judge in the District of Columbia. circa now. What are we going to do about it? Keep the district that way? Pretend it isn't that way? Leave it that way so they can destroy other Americans? The Long Island wind farm is a thing of the past. Trump got rid of it with just a little poop, poop, goodbye. Saved a lot of birds. The bird people love him now. We're negotiating with Iran. The president has made it clear that Iran will not be nuclear. I think he's also made it clear that not be nuclear means nuclear in no respect. None of this, you can be, within 10% of complete enrichment. Because if we do that, we've just done the Obama agreement all over again. And I hope there isn't a single person among him who thinks anything like that is sensible. If there is, he should get rid of them now. So, too much at stake, too little time. Progress has been remarkable. And God has been very good to us. So, spend a little extra time on this holy season in worshiping him and trying to understand him better and understand what he wants for you. So we'll be back tomorrow. We will not be on Lindell Network at 7. We will be here at 8 on America's Mayor Live with our Good Friday show. And then we'll be back on Monday with both at the right time, 7 and 8. So we'll see you tomorrow night right here on America's Mayor Live. And it'll be a very special show because it's a very, very special day. God bless all of the people who are under oppression or at war. And God bless the United States of America.
It's our purpose to bring to bear the principle of common sense and rational discussion to the issues of our day. America was created at a time of great turmoil, tremendous disagreements, anger, hatred. There was a book written in 1776 that guided much of the discipline of thinking that brought to us the discovery of our freedoms, of our God-given freedoms. It was Thomas Paine's Common Sense, written in 1776, one of the first American bestsellers, in which Thomas Paine explained, by rational principles, the reason why these small colonies felt the necessity to separate from the Kingdom of Great Britain and the King of England. He explained their inherent desire for liberty, for freedom, freedom of religion, freedom of speech, the ability to select the people who govern them. And he explained it in ways that were understandable to all the people, not just the elite. Because the desire for freedom is universal. The desire for freedom adheres in the human mind, and it is part of the human soul. This is exactly the time we should consult our history. Look at what we've done in the past and see if we can't use it to help us now. We understand that our founders created the greatest country in the history of the world, the greatest democracy, the freest country, a country that has taken more people out of poverty than any country ever. All of us are so fortunate to be Americans. But a great deal of the reason for America's constant ability to self-improve is because we're able to reason, we're able to talk, we're able to analyze. We are able